brought a refreshing candor to the campaign trail and had credentials to justify her candidacy. But Juliette Kayyem's days as a gubernatorial hopeful are over, at least for this election cycle. The former Homeland Security official earned 12% of the delegates' votes at Saturday's state Democratic convention, just short of the 15% threshold to get her on the September primary ballot. So what's next for the 44-year-old Cambridge resident, Juliette Kayyem? Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So
I never saw a picture of me at the convention, so that was
great.
nice.
Oh, well, give you another look at it. Everybody liked you. Jim Aloisi just said he'd never met, and you said, "Wow, what a breath of fresh air! She lights up the room." I mean, you have an infectious quality. You're charismatic. How come you didn't get the 15%?
I mean, I think looking back on it, the runway was too short. I got in too late. We had an amazing group of delegates, an amazing group of caucus goers. There just weren't enough of them by the time that the final number got settled at the convention. So, and that happens. I mean, I got in much later than some of the other candidates, but my delegates were my delegates. Yeah. And part of what I want to do now is sort of make sure that they stay committed to a very important race. I mean, my delegates were first-time delegates. My delegates were younger by many decades. We converted about 200 unenrolled to Democrats through the caucus process. I mean, part of my campaign was to renew the Democratic Party, and I may not have succeeded, but I think someone else will, or we'll keep doing it each election.
When it comes down to it, I mean, do you feel like the fix is kind of in? I mean, these delegates, as you say, I mean, you might have recruited some. You're laughing, but it's like all this old guard, and it's the same old people who go to these things, and and I think Martha Coakley and Stephen Grossman worked very hard, as did Don Berwick and Joe Avalone, but. These are the old guard. These are the established candidates.
Right, and but I knew it getting in, and that's why our strategy was just, build it. I mean, the problem was I was building too much simultaneously. And so I accepted and came up short this time, but we kind of knew it going into it.
Did you know?
I mean, I think it just depended on how many of the delegates showed up. It's a funny race. I mean, everyone says, it devolved in 2006. I mean, there's 5 of us. There's 2 very well-known names. The party's pretty happy with where things are. It's not an anti-campaign. There are all sorts of factors. The most important, I mean, if there's 2 takeaways, one is, to help whoever the nominee is keep the corner office. I vow to that. And I think if I could, the enthusiasm or the, what I can do, to do that, I will continue to do. And the other thing is this was a line on my campaign, but I meant it. And which is, the notion that you could have 2 women taken seriously. It was not a line. It was really, I think, that everything needs to change in terms of how we view that as well. And hopefully the next time a woman takes on a more established woman, it won't be viewed as, oh, she can't do that. It will be viewed as, that's what the men do, right?
There's no question you have a very impressive resume, as impressive as anybody in the race. But do you think maybe you shot too high? I mean, should you've gone for
I don't want to be LG. I mean, people.
Not LG.
I mean, from the beginning. It was always where else could I be? The skills I have were the skills of a governor, and that's what people responded to. They are complex management skills, crisis management skills, and experiences in state and federal government. So I don't look back and think, oh, I should have done it a different way. I mean, as I say, it's a democracy or it's an election. I didn't win. I mean, it's. But I'll still be in it. I mean, I think it's important. I really do think it's important to the party. This is going to be a hard election nationwide for the party and whoever ends up on top.
Right. You said you're going to support the Democratic candidate, whoever that is, but do you have a dog in the fight? Do you have somebody you're going to support?
No, I mean,
first?
I've talked to all of them, and I'm not sure I don't know how useful that is to them, and I'm not sure it's so useful for the party. I mean, if I look, a majority of our voters in the state are unenrolled. I am, and I was very appealing to them. And I think because they want to, they're progressive, but, maybe there's parts of the party that they don't agree with. If I can begin to get the party to embrace them and get them to embrace the party, that's good for the party, and that's good for the progressive ideals that the party stands for. And so, I'll continue to do that.
Well, you're very, very young, and you've got plenty of time.
Not so young anymore, but and I'm about 10 years older than I was 9 months ago.
I'm sure about that.
But thank you so much. You've been, this was my first interview, and now hopefully it's my last because I'm going to the beach tomorrow.
Good for you. All right, Juliette Kayyem.
Thanks
for coming.